Now, the Champions League this week has, as always, captured everyone's imagination. But last night, Liverpool, the holders, were beaten at Anfield by Atletico Madrid. It was a great game, but a big shock. And we're joined now by Didi Hamannn, a great Liverpool player, great Bayern Munich player, Germany, Manchester City, and of course, most notably, the man who scored the first penalty in 2005 in Istanbul when Liverpool won the Champions League. Didi, an extraordinary night at Anfield. Liverpool played exceptionally well, I thought. How did you feel watching it?
It was painful to watch the end and to see them not having any answers the last 10 minutes, because they did everything right for 95 minutes, I think, or 90 or 100 minutes even, going up 2-0, and then a goalkeeper mistake let Atletico back in. And when they were at the most vulnerable, probably, Liverpool, they scored the second goal, which pretty much finished off the tie. And to see the team play as well as they probably did in months, because they still won their games in the Premier League, but they haven't really played well, or haven't really shown. But yesterday, I don't think you can play much better. Obviously, they had to score the second goal before extra time to go through. I think Atletico conceded 16 shots on goal in the whole of the Champions League campaign so far. Yeah, I think Liverpool had 20 odd yesterday. That shows how they opened them up, which doesn't really happen very often. They created chance after chance. They just couldn't take them, and it was hard to see. They probably deserved better, but that's football. Yes, and I mean the goalkeeping issue seems to dog Jurgen Klopp. When you think of Karius in the final against Real Madrid a couple of years ago, and look back on Adrian last night, there isn't a pattern here. When he was at Dortmund, was he okay in the keeper division? There's nothing. He doesn't have a fetish, does he, for dodgy goalkeepers? I don't think anyone has, Hamannn. No, he had Weidenfeller at Dortmund, who was the second or the third keeper for the national team. Obviously, always understudy to Manuel Neuer for Germany, but he was a very solid goalkeeper, and he was very reliable. I think that's most important for a keeper. The most important thing is that you've got a good number one. I think the number two is always tricky, because you can't have a top-class keeper as your number two, because, some of them might do it for half a season or a season, but they want to play. So to bring somebody in who's top-class, I don't think is realistic. Yes. I think Adrian, when he was in goal, I think he did okay. But obviously it comes down to these games, and that's why you have to perform, and it's not even... I'd probably say it's rather a mental error than a technical error, because he just had to take a touch. There's a lot of pace on the ball. I think the guy who played the ball back fully expected him to take a touch and then either switch play or go long. But for some reason, he felt he needs to hit it first time. As I said, there was a lot of pace on the ball. It's entirely possible that you mishit a ball like this when it comes so fast at you. And it was just, for me, a mental error, and that's always hard to take, because Atletico didn't seem to have much life in them. With a second goal of Firmino, you felt, if they get a third one here, that's game over. Yes, it was really just a mistake that let him back in. But one of the things I'd say to you, Didi, it's a golden rule for goalkeepers: concentration. And the great keepers, or even the competent keepers, they're not in the game much, but they've got to be concentrated. Focus is hugely important, isn't it? Yeah. And if you look at all the bad goalkeepers we've seen over the years, it is their lack of concentration. Even looking at De Gea now for Manchester United, the mistakes he's making, they are mistakes you make when you haven't been fully focused on every kick in the game. You get me? 100%, Hamannn. And when people say, "Oh, there's a good goalkeeper at Norwich, at at Sheffield United, at teams, obviously not Sheffield United, teams which are struggling. He was at West Ham, and at West Ham he would have an average of 20, 25, maybe 30 shots on goal every game. It's easy to have a good game when you have 30 shots on goal because you're always in the game.
Yes,
you have to make a save every 3, 4, 5 minutes. The tricky thing is for the best goalkeepers when you have got nothing to do for 89 minutes, and in the last minute you call upon it, you've got to make a save. And and as you say, focus, concentration. A lot of them get carried away and think, "Oh, this is easy here. I'm playing for Liverpool now. I don't get much to do, and the 2-3 balls I get, I'll be okay." Yeah, it wasn't a shot on goal. It was actually a kick, which cost them the game. And that's and you can't state it highly enough. What these guys do week in, week out, the best keepers, because it's the hardest thing. As you will know,
yes.
If you're not in the game for 80 minutes and all of a sudden you're called upon and you've got to make a save, but the best ones do it.
Yes.
And Adrian yesterday, unfortunately, fell short.
Yeah. Now this Liverpool team, Didi, I thought I would have been saying this morning if they'd have beaten Atletico last night, they're on their way to greatness. They will. Got a great chance of back-to-back Champions League. They're going to win the Premier League and they're on their way to greatness. This is a big blow to the idea that this Liverpool team might match what the great Manchester United teams did under Ferguson and also what the great Liverpool teams did in the past in terms of winning trophies, getting silverware, lots of it. And now they've got I think last night will make them stronger and meaner, and they've learned something, and they're young enough to go on and still win lots of trophies. But there's another idea that maybe the kind of giveaway that happened last night will go on happening. I don't think it will, but there is a possibility, is there?
The jury's out. You can go two ways when you lose a game like this. You say, well, let's take the Premier League and we've done all right, or you say, well, we missed a golden opportunity. I don't think this is a team, and I don't think Klopp will allow it for the team to get complacent after winning the Champions League last year, the league this year. On the other hand, you look at Real Madrid's team. They won it 3 times. I think they've been to the final 4 or 5 years running and won 3 or 4 in a row.
Yep.
Not long ago. I don't think too many people mention that team as one of the great teams in Champions League history.
Yes,
even though they achieved something nobody else did, defending a title. But why is that? Because they didn't really play that expansive, beautiful football.
Yes.
Now this Liverpool team does. So I still think they've got a chance to go down in history. I think it all depends whether they stay together.
Yes. Yeah? And that will be also, that's also a bit trickier now after that result last night. Unless they recover quickly, it could offer an opportunity to the 2 big Spanish clubs, for example, both of whom are struggling, to pick off maybe 1 or 2 of the Liverpool players.
Yeah, 100%. And there's 2 ways of seeing it. You can say, well, we won the Champions League last year, we win the league this year, we've done great, which they have. But the other side to it is, in a perfect scenario, I think they probably could be on a hat-trick this year, because they probably should have won it 2 years ago.
Yep.
When Carriers made them mistakes. They won it last year, and this year, I think everybody would agree that if they had gone through yesterday, they would have been the team to beat again. So there's 2 ways of seeing it. But as I said, that's football. They had their share of luck in the Premier League. Unfortunately, yesterday was against them. But I'm sure they'll bounce back, because I don't think complacency is in the DNA of that team. And if they do stay together, and again, I think that's a big issue. I think if one of the front 3 leaves, if Van Dijk were to leave, which is highly likely, I think, that could change the dynamics of that team.
Okay, so it is a blow, but we'll watch that space. Now, on Tuesday night, Leipzig, they did a job on Spurs. Spurs are pretty, they're hopeless at the moment, Didi. Leipzig, I was talking to John Giles during the game. He was watching it, and he said he thought they were really good, and he said to me that he thought they could win it. I didn't. I think they were very well organised, very strong and powerful and quick at the back. But they did a job on Spurs in London, did it again the other night. I wonder how good they can be. I thought Schick, the big centre forward, wasn't really top class. I'm not sure about Werner. I've seen him play for Germany a couple of times. It's said to be true that a lot of clubs want him now around Europe, including Liverpool. Is he that good? I don't think he is, Didi.
Yeah, he's good. I don't think he's a Liverpool player.
No.
And I wouldn't know if nobody leaves, I wouldn't know where he's going to play, because he's best through the middle. To play out wide, he hasn't really got much trickery. His biggest weapon is his pace.
Yeah.
And I think his finishing has to improve. It improved a lot over the last 2 years, but I think there's still some room for improvement in his finishing. So, it's good. He's got 20 goals in the league this year. There will be takers, because we know that's the hardest thing in football. If you've got a centre forward, everybody wants him.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't necessarily be a player I would be interested in if I was Liverpool. Coming back to Leipzig, I think they're good. They're a big, powerful team. They're very young.
Yeah.
Pretty inexperienced, so it's pretty new to them what's happening. But they're a dangerous team, because when they do press, when they are as aggressive as they are against, you've got to say, Spurs are ordinary at best at the moment.
Yes.
So we shouldn't overestimate what they did there. But it's certainly a team I don't think you'd fancy playing.
No,
against.
And the coach is fascinating. 32 years of age, Nagelman. Tell us about him and his background. Was he a player?
Yeah, he played for 1816 actually in Munich. Yeah, he's from about 40 miles from Munich, from a little village. He played for the youth team, but then he had an injury, and he felt that he's not going to make it, and he started pretty early. So in his mid-20s, he started coaching youth teams. And he's gone places ever since. Yeah.
Looking at the bigger picture now, Manchester City are the bookies' favourites. Bayern Munich second favourites. I'm really impressed by Bayern. I mean, I'm really impressed when they beat Tottenham 7-2, but that could have been a one-off. But they went to Chelsea and they dominated again, and they have players, this young lad Davis, Gnabry, Lewandowski, of course. They got a lot of firepower. Would you make them favourites, Didi?
They won't be far off. I said a few weeks ago, I think the only team that can beat Liverpool over two legs is Bayern Munich.
Yes.
Obviously, that was changed yesterday by Atletico, unfortunately. But I think they are contenders. But they need to have everybody fit, because at the moment Lewandowski is injured. He should be back after the international break. Because off the bench, Tolisso hasn't played an awful lot. French World Cup winner. When he's played, he was pretty average. Coutinho hasn't really arrived in Munich. He's only playing when one or two players are injured. And on Saturday again, he was very poor. So he doesn't. His confidence is low. So I think the problem is that at the moment they only have 12, 13 players they can really use who are in form.
Right.
And when you go into the latter stages,
yep.
You've seen it a couple of years when Madrid beat Liverpool, Bale comes on, scores a couple of goals, makes a difference. You know, in these games, sometimes there will be a stage in the game where you need somebody off the bench to either bring somebody in defensively who strengthens things, or you need to bring in somebody who gets you a goal. And at the moment, they haven't got it. If they're at full strength, I think they are probably better than anybody left in the competition. But that's the question, will they keep everybody fit till the end of the season?
Right, and I mean, if we say that Manchester City are favourites with the bookmakers, my question would be, and I'm asking you, with the defence they have, Didi, which is pretty ropey, can they win the Champions League?
Well, they should go through next week. Big team's gone out, so you know I think they all eight are contenders. You know, you probably have Bergamo and maybe Leipzig who are a bit behind, but probably all eight will fancy the chances to win it.
Yeah.
If City were to come up against Bayern Munich, I'd fancy Bayern Munich. I think in a one-off game, anything can happen, and we know they could be dynamite City when they're on.
Yeah.
But as you said, with the defense they've got, I'd still have my worries about them. Okay,
now Didi, there's a big story in Germany about the focus of the controversy is Hoffenheim, not one of the well-known clubs. But their owner as well, Dieter Hopp. There was a big demonstration the other night when they played Bayern. They seem to be challenging the norm in the Bundesliga, which is that the clubs are, in theory at least, owned by the supporters. It's 50+1, and nobody can own more than 49%. Can you just tell us about that controversy and how the structure of the German game, the Bundesliga, differs from Spain or Britain?
Well, the reason behind that 50+1 rule, which was brought in about 25 years ago, 30 years ago, is to protect the clubs.
To create a level playing field.
Yeah, create a level playing field, even though that's not possible, because you can still theoretically have 49% of your shares in different hands. So
yes.
Bayern Munich, for example, they have in Allianz, in Audi and Adidas, I think they've all got an 8% share in the club, and they said they never sell more than 25% of the club. So why did the DFB, the German FA, do it at the time? To protect clubs for any investor or foreign owner come in.
Yes.
As we've seen in Cardiff, change club colours, change a club badge. The prices for the ticket prices will go up because we've got that fan base called they call them the ultras.
Yes.
Who do choreographies before games, and they see themselves as the heart of the fan base. Now,
yes.
This is probably not entirely true, and what the protests are against at the moment is against the commercialization of the league of football, that everything is done for money and the fan is coming out second best. And it's not personally against Dietmar Hopp.
Yes.
He's the owner of SAP, the software company. He's a billionaire who's done a lot of good things for the society, built university, built hospitals. So this man is really somebody who's done for the area an awful lot of good, and certainly for Hoffenheim, because he took them on when they were in the 8th or 9th division.
Yes.
So he didn't buy them when they were in the Bundesliga, but he's just there as a symbol for clubs who kind of found a way to get around 50+1.
Yeah.
Because the structure in Leipzig and in Hoffenheim is similar. Obviously, you've got Mateschitz with Red Bull in Leipzig, and in Hoffenheim, you've got him who is the main shareholder. So they kind of tricked the rules, and this is it's not personally against him, but just in general against commercializing every opportunity in football.
Yeah, I mean, the reason it's of such interest to me, and I'm sure to our listeners, is Germany is one of the great footballing nations traditionally, along with Italy, along with Spain, and of course along with England. However, if you can get a sugar daddy from the Middle East, for example, as Manchester City have, then you can you don't have to build. You can jump from nothing to big time. Would the German game, and Bayern Munich in particular, where you have people like Karl-Heinz Rummenigge involved, intelligent former footballers, would they be looking particularly carefully at the UEFA ban on Manchester City and whether it sticks or not? Because City have broken the fair financial play rules.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole football world looks with interest when they go to court in the summer. The question was always in Germany, because we didn't have the best run in the Champions League in recent years.
Yes.
There were times where I think Bayern Munich was the only team in the last 8 or even the last 4, so we didn't have any other team. The question was always, can we be competitive if we keep the 50+1 rule?
Yes.
And these clubs, they're very well run and managed, because if you can imagine, the wage bill of these clubs will be a lot lower than certain clubs in Italy, Spain, or England, who are owned by private investors. And this is why everybody's looking there with interest, because if you do wrong, if you've got financial fair play, everybody, I think, has to obey and play to it. And that's why I think UEFA has to make a statement. They've made a statement. I really hope, if the accusations are true, they uphold the ban they gave Manchester City, because I think there would be would give a lot of teams in Germany hope. Yes. That the authorities are strict when it comes to these rules. And if everybody has to play to that FFP, I think it gives German clubs a better chance to compete.
Of course. And I mean, you're talking about the soul of the European game here. If, for example, somebody can come in from Abu Dhabi, buy a football club and spend unlimited amounts of money. When the Qataris at PSG paid 200 million for Neymar, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge said, for that, I'd rather build a new stadium. Now, this is funny, but it's very, very serious, is it not? Because Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, these are the great traditional European clubs. We can't afford, can we, as a culture, the football culture, to lose the great German clubs, the great Italian clubs.
Yeah, and as it's now, you won't lose the German ones because they can only spend what they earn. So they are financially all very stable and healthy. And the other thing is, if you bring these owners in, I think most or all the Italian clubs at the moment are in foreign hands. Now, if they don't go to the Champions League, the attendances are not that big in Italy. The TV money won't be as big as in Germany or England. You know, if one of these owners says, well, I had enough here, what's going to happen with AC Milan? What's going to happen with Roma or Inter Milan?
Yes.
You know, we've seen in England what happened. Portsmouth was in the FA Cup final.
Yes.
10 years ago. I think they're in League One now. You see what's happening at Leeds. Leeds was in the semi-final of the Champions League 15 years ago. You know, they've been in the doldrums now ever since because of bad ownership. And you've got that fit and proper person test in England, but sometimes
it's not applied, Didi.
Yeah, well, it is applied, but sometimes I feel if somebody comes in, has the money or has the funds and puts more oil in the fire and keeps it all going, I don't think they're too bothered who that guy is. And that's certainly something that the football fans in Germany won't allow. Okay,
just a final question, Didi. And it's about the coronavirus, COVID-19. How are the Bundesliga dealing with it? What did they propose to do? The Manchester City Arsenal match was cancelled last night. At the same time, Cheltenham went ahead, and I know a part of you was in Cheltenham, maybe a big part. What does the Bundesliga intend to do, and what is the German government demanding of sport?
Well, we had there was a game cancelled about 2.5 weeks because of a storm. Gladbach against Cologne, a derby game in the west of Germany. They played yesterday evening at 6:30. That was the first game behind closed doors.
Right.
So that game went ahead. This weekend, all the games will be played behind closed doors. And as of now, the plan is to do the same thing the week after. And then you've got an international break. But the measures have been drastic. Schools are closing, universities are closing, and people are advised to have as little social contact as possible, because it's not about, people say a lot of, or the majority of the people will probably get it at some stage. It's just to delay the spread of the virus, so that the hospitals can cope with the demands of the patients. And the measures are drastic. I've been following what's happening in America, in England, and I'm quite surprised how little has been done in America and England in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And a final question on this topic. Gary Lineker is one of a number of people who said the Champions League and the Premier League and all football should be cancelled for the season. We should stop now. It would be deeply ironic for us as Liverpool fans if after 30 years and 20 odd points ahead, they cancelled the Premier League now. Would you, in your view, it's better, is it not, to play the season out, even if you have to, behind closed doors, than to cancel it?
Well, obviously, there's a lot at stake. Obviously, first and foremost, we have to look at the health of the health of the people has to be paramount. But at the same time, there's a lot of things hanging and going with it. European qualification, Champions League football. I don't know where the benefit is if you just cancel all the games and just say, well, there's no Champions League, there's no Premier League. Because if we are disciplined, and if we get organized in that respect, maybe we can really slow it down in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think the numbers out of China are very encouraging, because I think they kind of delayed or stopped the spread.
Yes, they have.
Spreading it,
yes.
And they just delayed the spread of the virus. If we can do the same thing here, maybe in 3 or 4 weeks, things look different. And if it were to be behind closed doors till the end of the season, then so be it. It's not ideal, but if that's what it is, then that's it. And I just don't see how people can jump to the conclusion and say, well, cancel everything, because we can't stop living. We still have to go on.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of money is obviously lost already, and a lot of jobs will be lost. So I think we have to try to, keep our lives as normal as possible. And football is a big thing for people in England, big thing for people in Germany. So, I don't see the benefit to cancel all competitions right now.
Okay, Didi Hamannn, thank you very much indeed. It's as always a pleasure to talk to Didi.